Alright, so today's video is going to be about scripting and why I personally think that everybody should learn how to script, especially if you're getting into IT or cybersecurity, but I think the use case kind of goes beyond those means as well, and I'll explain more about that later. So today I'm going to show you 3 examples. One's going to be aesthetic, one's going to be workflow, and then I'll even go over how I created the intro for the channel using Python. So stay tuned for that. But going into the first use case, aesthetic, right? So this isn't necessarily as important. This is definitely going to be more person to person. It's something that's not too important to workflow, obviously, like having a unified or cohesive appearance from this taskbar that I have to the terminal, where the colors all look the same. It's not necessarily practical, but it's something that I enjoy or somebody could find use for. So we'll go over this simple wallpaper script that I have right here, and so with a quick sentence and a click of a button, all of a sudden we have a whole nother wallpaper, right? The colors have changed on this, my terminal has changed a little bit, and just kind of it flows, right? So I'll just quickly show you how I went over it. I mean, this one's pretty simple. I was really only changing the wallpaper and updating polybar and stuff like that, but we'll go into a little bit behind the scenes of what that looks like. So we'll go down to set wall, and right there, let me zoom in a little bit. So the kind of basis of this right here, if you see this $sign and a 1, that's basically taking in our command line argument. So if you remember, up here, we typed set wall and then gave a file path to an image that I wanted to use, and that's basically what this one is taking over. As you can see, wallpaper equals now the real path to 1, and that's just kind of as a logic check in case to make it cohesive. It just converts it to, instead of that squiggle slash, it's going to be the full path, and it's just a little logic checking if the image actually exists. But I won't go too into it. Obviously, I just kind of want to gloss over it. But here we have using PyWall to generate the color schemes, and if you can see this $sign wallpaper right here, we created this variable wallpaper and passed in what is inside of that variable, which is our image, and we can call again on it using wall, and this just executes the color scheme, and then we can set the wallpaper using this. Again, you see this $sign wallpaper, so every time that you see this wallpaper used, just picture that it's the image right here. And then this is kind of cool too. So we've set the wallpaper, but we want it to be there when we restart our system or log out and stuff like that, and it doesn't change that permanently, and that's what we're going to do here with the streamline editor. And it's going to go in place and go to a specific line right here inside of our i3 config file, which is what's going to hold different things, and it's going to replace that with the wallpaper at the end. That way when we restart or anything, we're always going to have the same wallpaper that we intended. And then over here, you can kill this polybar instance, restart it with the colors, and I have the colors being generated right here. But so just kind of quickly glossing over that. And by the way, if you don't know what PyWall is, if you see right here this color palette, that was used generating PyWall, and that's basically right here what it's doing. So it's pulling from the image, grabbing some colors, and creating a 16 palette that we can use to assign text colors or different things like that. And if you noticed earlier that I typed in conf files, and once I clicked enter, this menu pops up, right? And this is another application of scripting. This I can't take credit for. This, I actually saw this in a YouTube video. I'll put the link down below, but a guy named DistroTube, he goes over Linux content, stuff like that, and I saw this and I knew I had to use it because it's actually pretty neat. But look at this. This is a menu of different configs, and when we click on it, it's going to open up Emacs, and we're able to edit this file and go into it a little bit. You know, I won't again go that deep over explaining this, but we just simply have a variable here called DM editor, and this is going to pass in using the Emacs. Over here we are declaring this array of options, and we have Alacrity, Bash, all this of the configurations that we're doing, as well as the paths to it. And we're going to come down here, go through this options menu. We're going to display 10 of those, and this is just saying, you know, if choice equals quit, because we have a quit option, then you can exit. If not, then you're going to open the file path, or sorry, you're going to open Emacs with the file chosen, as you can see here. So I thought that was pretty cool. But, you know, so here, I mean, again, I'll just show you quickly if I'm like, you know what, I'm not feeling this wallpaper anymore. Oops, I got caps on. If I, you know, get tired of this wallpaper and I want to change it, I can come back, and if I can type, click of a button, boom. Now I have all of my themes cohesive and all that, and I can come back to this wallpaper, or, you know, whichever one that I'm feeling like. But it's just showing you that without having to dig into things, you know, you're automating processes and just making life easier on yourself. It's going to take more time in the beginning to configure, obviously, but on the other end of it, you're going to be able to quickly, you know, find your configuration files, set wallpapers, get a cohesive theme and all of that. So pulling up my GitHub, you know, I have from my actual Linux machine, this is simply a VM or whatever, and I wasn't able to use the Wayland and show that one off like I wanted to. It doesn't play too well with the virtual machine, so I had to do this to an i3. But if you wanted to come over here to this script section, I have listed my set wall, which is going to be for the hyperpaper. You can see the same thing, right? We're just doing this, but this is going to be more extensive. We're changing row fee, PyWall again, but changing like login manager, image and theme and stuff like that. Yeah, I won't go too much into that. But now the final part, to the animation for the intro. I actually did that using Python, which I just discovered you could do. So that was pretty cool. I mean, this quick, you know, 6-second clip or whatever, but again, able to create that myself. And you know, we'll see some of the code right here. Just the same logic. I mean, you're just creating variables, you're creating functions, and they're performing tasks for you. And that is kind of the spirit of what, you know, using a computer basically is. It might seem complex, but at the end of the day, it's just a tool that we use, right? So I won't go into that too much, but, you know, obviously for the average user, they might not care, and whatever functionality that Microsoft gives them, Apple gives them, they're fine with out of the box and stuff like that. But if you want to kind of take a little more control and actually create your own tools instead of just borrowing the tools, I think you don't lose doing that. I mean, you're learning how to logically solve problems. You're learning how to kind of dive into things and see the behind the scenes of what's going on your screen. I think that's invaluable. So, you know, just a quick video going over that. You know, hopefully you guys were able to learn something and maybe got encouraged to try something out yourself.